Hey guys, Coach Mike here. I'm with Ken of the FitStop Human Performance Lab here in San Marcos, California. Ken is an exercise physiologist and really an expert at helping athletes determine what is the most efficient way for them to utilize their fuel systems and kind of analyze where their body weight needs to be and just so many other things. And he's helped me a lot over the last year with heart rate training zones and kind of optimizing my performance. But Ken, in your own words, what exactly do you do here?
Well, over the years I've done a lot of testing. So I've tested with all kinds of environments, all types of individuals, from fire police departments to health risk type profiles. But over the last 10 years, actually it's even more than that, probably about 15 years now, I kind of got into the niche of the endurance population, multi-sport endurance, because of the metabolic testing focus that I have as far as at the FitStop. So the lab is really set up to evaluate individuals' overall endurance, but more specifically to break it down so that they can get a little bit more systematic approach to the training, a little bit more of a precision-oriented type focus, because a lot of times, as you know, it's easy to overdo it or underdo it and not perform at the level that you want. So this type of testing really just kind of breaks it down, kind of puts all the parts together. We can identify where the metabolic fitness is, how their VO2s are doing, what fat capabilities they have. Are they able to optimize their ability to recover because they have high fat utilization? Or are they, especially if they're an ultra distance oriented athlete, then they want to be able to conserve their carbohydrate storage, so it's all about fat adaptation, training appropriately. And then for every type of anybody who has an endurance component to their training, we're really just trying to make sure that they're going to get the recovery they need from the training effect. Kind of engage with what's going on in their body. Why do they want to be in a zone 2 compared to a zone 4? What are the advantages? So the testing really breaks that down and it individualizes it to each individual.
Got it.
athlete.
Now, you said endurance athletes, so obviously a lot of people's mind is going to jump to triathlon, but that, breaking that down into individual sports, you've got your swimmers, your cyclists, your runners, and in our sport, mud runs and obstacle course races, really those are foot races, running races with a functional fitness component. So at the end of the day, we still need to be able to efficiently utilize our fuel storage and how we're fueling ourselves for the running and the endurance portion of these events. I mean, I'm big on the short distance events, but man, we've got athletes doing these, 24 plus hour events, and anything in between, 4 hours, 6 hours, 2 hours, 3 hours. And you start talking about fuel utilization and fat adaptation, right? And you throw out some words that I'm sure people aren't going to understand, but in one thing that we talk about a lot is adapting your nutrition to like a high fat diet, and for the reasons that your body is more efficient at burning fat for longer periods of time. So if you're going to be an endurance athlete, the better you are able to utilize fat for fuel, that's kind of your fat adaptation, like how well you use fat and at what point in exercise you start using fat versus carbohydrates or glycogen.
But I have motocross professional riders. They're concerned also about that fat adaptation, especially when they're in kind of a base or a transition period, so that they don't overdevelop that anaerobic system too quick. They kind of get a good locked-in platform, and we would call that sufficient fat utilization early on, so that they can tolerate a long season of working really hard. So it's not just, obviously, and if you're more of an intensity-oriented athlete, as you guys have a big component to in a lot of your races, you can't survive on just fat, a high fat diet. So there's different periods of time or different focuses in the training where you might put a little bit more effort or focus into a higher fat diet, whereas other times you're going to be a little bit more focused on the carbohydrates you need to keep up that intensity level.
Sure. Now, you and I could talk forever. I eat this stuff up. I learn a lot from this guy, and you know so much, and you've tested so much, and you've just been in the industry, for a good amount of time. So great, we have a great resource here for anybody that wants to come get some testing done. Now, today we're going to be doing VO2 max and the hydro body fat analysis. So really, that's, as far as I know, pretty much the most accurate way that we can determine one's body fat, or just about as good as you can
actually, no, because they have the new high technology DEXA scans.
Right, DEXA, yeah.
They kind of open up different compartments of it that we don't really address when we're doing call this kind of a dual compartment type test. It's the original gold standard, the hydro testing, and it's not based on regression equations like skin folds and some of the other things are, but there are newer technologies that may be a little bit more accurate.
Well, one thing I tell our athletes, I mean, whether you're using calipers, tapes, scales, as long as you're consistently using the same metrics, then you should be getting reasonable results. If your goal is to lose body fat and you're measuring yourself with the same standard, and you're seeing a reduction, that's good.
You know you're on target.
Right.
That's what it's all about. You just want to make sure what you're doing is having the impact that you're really trying to have. Sometimes the weight doesn't go down, but you're actually losing some of the fat and increasing lean mass. We don't know how that's working, or the opposite. You're losing the weight, but you're losing a significant amount of lean mass. So body composition is important, and you just need to be able to look at a reliable indicator.
Right. Now,
of what's going on.
What we're going to do in the tank, that's certainly more accurate than calipers or tapes or any bioimpedance scale that you're going to buy.
As long as you're comfortable going underwater.
Yeah.
So obviously you got individuals that are just not going to fit in the tank.
Right.
Because they're not going to be able to blow the air out underwater. But for the most part, we can kind of train up an individual, and then they'll get comfortable enough that it's going to be quite a bit more accurate. It doesn't mean it's going to be different. We can have skin fold. We do the skin folds on you before we do the hydro. We still use them both because if you don't have access to one, it's still realistic and reliable as long as you get somebody who knows what they're doing with the skin folds to use it for comparison.
So we're going to do that. We're going to do the VO2 test today, and there's several other tests that you can do, and they're all available on your website. Anybody can check that out at FitStop Lab.
Yep, fitstoplab.com.
Fitstoplab.com. Check out all the different exercise profile analysis and tests that you can do with Ken right here in his lab. Awesome lab that he's got set up. So we're going to go do my testing and then get to compare that to where I was last year, make sure I'm on the right track, or if maybe I've fallen off the path and I need to tweak a few things. Ken, thanks so much for having me over today. I can't wait to get some more people in here and benefiting from your knowledge.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it.